And we are live. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Wednesday Live. Welcome to Homeville Workshop. Welcome to the shop, everyone. I hope you are all doing awesome this fine Wednesday or Thursday morning if you're hairy dude. What's up, everyone? As we get situated here, why won't it let me scroll? Scroll. Sam's here. Sam says hello. Mike says morning. Sam Packin says good morning, Jeff. Good morning. Oh, I got my finger in the way there. Do you see that? What are you all up to this fine day? Right on. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I don't know if I'm missing something here. It's not letting me scroll for some reason. There we go. There we go. Let's see here. Mike says, what are the lines inside the guitar frame? We'll get to that in just a moment. Let me catch up with everyone here real quick. I think I know what you're talking about. Let's see. Rick says, and to you, Sam. Harry Dude's here. Harry Dude says, what's up? How are we all? How are we all? I know here, I'm doing good. I'm good to go, and I hope you're all the same. Nicholas is here. Nicholas says, hey, what's up, Nicholas? Good morning. Corey says, good morning. Good morning, Corey. How are you today? And David's here. David says, hello from Wisconsin. Hello, David, and welcome. Right on, right on. Senpekin says, all good here in BC. Right on. That's awesome. I am glad to hear that. Mike says, good. Glad someone knows what I'm talking about. Oh, boy. I'm with you. I got you, Mike. Sam says, anyone else getting those unskippable ads? Just had two, so I had to reload for a shorter ad. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't noticed any changes on my end. So it's probably some sort of YouTube update or something like that. Corey says, doing good. Right on. I'm glad to hear that. So what's everybody working on today? You guys have any projects in the works? I'm working on this tasty cup of coffee here. I hope you all have some sort of whatever your beverage is that you're enjoying right now. We'll get to what I'm in the midst of here shortly. I want to hear from you guys. What's on your bench? Sam Packin says, I'm making a case for the Stones build. Nice, that's going to be cool. That is going to be cool. Right on, let's see. So, what's on my bench? Well, if I can rotate this a little bit, you can kind of see the bench behind me. Move that out of the way. I have a whole bunch of spreaders and things at the moment that are just kind of sitting there. That's because I don't really need them. Because the acoustic, we have a completed rim. Got this wrapped up yesterday. So of course we have the ambrosia maple sides, little elm end wedge there. We've got our neck block and tail block glued in. I've got the Spanish cedar reversed kerfing, reverse kerf lining installed. And Mike, I think the lines you were talking about are these guys. These are the side braces to add a little bit of extra support for the sides. Just some pieces of the mahogany to go along with the mahogany blocks. Just adds a little bit of extra strength to the sides. Yeah, I think that's what you were referring to. So just some little strips, just some mahogany strips, adding a little extra extra strength. Let me scoot this back over here. so I don't have to like lean all crazy. What's going on here? There. So yeah, I've got the rim. The rim's done, and really the next step is to close the box, as they call it, where we attach the back, or attach the back and the top. I've got a bit of work before I get to that step. A little bit of sanding. Actually, not really too much work now that I think about it. I don't really even need to sand. Yeah, all I really need to do is get everything laid out. I need to notch the kerfing for the braces to sit down in, and yeah, pretty much get the box closed. That's what I'm gonna start working on that here probably in the next few days, and maybe by the next time we talk next week, maybe we'll have a closed box. We'll see how that goes. So pretty happy with the way this is going so far. I like the way that the end wedge turned out. Turned out really good. A little bit of sanding left to do. I can feel a little bit of a ridge there, but I'm not worried about that at the moment. Yeah, progress, right? Isn't that what they say? We're making progress. Let's see here. Oh, I missed a bunch of comments. I'm gonna get back to it. Let's see. Sam Packen says he's covering the styrofoam on the case. Right on. Corey says to finish making more soft plastic eggs for salmon fishing this year for myself. Right on. What do you make them out of? I don't really know a whole lot about that. About that whole. That I don't know anything about it really. But let me know. Nicholas says nice. Right on. Thank you. Sam says in the UK they say coffee they called rocket fuel. Oh, gotcha. That's equivalent to 3 or 4 cans of Red Bull. Oh my goodness. I'd be bouncing off the walls. That'd be too much for me. I'd be all jittery, shaking. Sam Packen says, looks awesome. Well, thanks, Rick. Sam says, sell. I gotcha. I know what you mean. Sam Packen says, love the grain. Yeah, if there's 2 different aspects here that we're looking at. So the grain, you can see the grain is like all over the place. You know, it's not, you know, you want kind of a straight grain for the best ease of bending maybe. But this grain is kind of all over the map. It almost looks like a topographical map. And that's why if you saw the video last weekend where I was bending the sides, I decided to take them a little bit thinner than normally. Somewhere around 90 thousandths of an inch is kind of a good starting point. And I took these down to 85 thousandths because I wanted to make sure that with all of this crazy grain that it bent pretty easy. But then the other thing we're looking at on here is this ambrosia, which is all of this coloration. Some sort of bugs or worms or something get in there, which is, you can see all the holes that have been filled with CA glue. Yeah, so we got wild grain, and then we've got this cool coloration, which I'm really happy with the way this book match came out. And yeah, I think it's going to look awesome. When I put the end wedge in, I wiped this down a little bit with some mineral spirits just to see, and it really looks cool. So yeah, it's going to turn out pretty neat, I think. Yeah, just the grain is it's all over the place. I was a little bit nervous bending those just because that grain is. But it worked out. Sam says, "Dang autocorrect." I know it always gets in there. Yeah, Sam's just not healthy to bring a guitar. Don't do that. Um, Mike says, yes, it would seem that the kerfing would provide the strength, but since most of the sound comes from the top and bottom, not an issue. Well done. Thank you. Yeah, the sides, I, from my understanding, right? I'm still learning a lot about this whole acoustic building thing. So I am by no means the authoritative expert on this. This is only the second one I've ever done. I'm constantly learning. Every time I do a process, there's something else that I'm learning or building off of what I've learned on the first one. But my understanding is the sides aren't there to necessarily create the sound. They're there to hold the the top and the back. Um, I'm sure it does contribute some portion to the sound, um, but really, yeah, their job is to hold the two plates apart and allow them to move, to sort of act like a drum, an air pump. I've heard it explained as. Um, so they're, you want to have some strength there, and those adding those little the side braces are just another way um, to help build in some strength. One thing that some builders do, and I say that a lot. I might try to do that on the next builds, is some people will glue these on before they put the lining on. And then when you put the lining in, you actually cut a notch in the lining to so that the side braces come all the way through. And I can see a benefit to that. These do not. These meet up. These just butt up against it. Um, that's the way I did it on the first one. But in the future, I could see maybe trying to let these into the lining just for a little extra, little extra something. Robert's here. Robert says, hello, peoples. Feeling much better than I was last week. Well, Robert, hello. Good morning. And I'm happy to hear you're feeling better. It is never fun when you're feeling under the weather. I had that a few weeks ago. Sam Packins says, haven't had a chance to see the videos. Been away on a road trip. Very cool. Right on. Enjoy your road trip. The videos will be there when you get a chance to check them out. Mike says, oh, come on, Professor. I need a monocle. Mike says, I assume it also prevents cracking of the sides. Yes, that is also another a benefit of that. And actually, I've heard that explained quite a lot. That it is, it provides some strength and also prevents a crack if one were to start from spreading. This one, given the fact that the grain, a lot of times if you're building with some straight grain, a really straight grain piece, a crack is going to follow the grain line, so it could really travel quite a ways. This one, since the grain is so wild, I don't know what would happen. I just pick a spot. If it cracked on this grain line, it might go down and maybe curve around. I don't know. But yeah, it'll help. It'll help with cracking as well. Robert says, guitar looks like it's turning out pretty well so far. So far, so good. I'm pleased. Anxious to get to working on closing the box. I know that I've got a little bit of. You can see I've got the top and the back are over here. The back I think is good. The top I know I'm going to need to remove some material yet from the braces and do a little bit more carving, and that's gonna transition beautifully into the project that I'm hoping to start on today. I'm gonna take just a short break from working on the guitar, and I know last week we talked just a little bit about finger planes, and I'm gonna try to make a couple of those and see if I can have any success. Mainly because I know I need to do a little bit more carving on those braces. So I thought, well, now might be a cool time to actually try to make a little mini hand plane. Excuse Excuse me. So I've been doing a little bit of experimenting with just some scraps of wood, just playing around with angles and construction techniques and things like that. This is not an actual plane iron; it's just a little placeholder, but like a little piece of spring steel stuff. But yeah, just playing around, trying to understand the angles of the wedges and things, and just different shapes. And I'm gonna try to make some of these. So I need to make a couple of irons, and I've got a plan for that, I think. But yeah, just been messing around. These are just kind of practice sample pieces, experimenting with different throat depths and just placement of the pins, just trying to understand where things need to be a little bit more. I'm really happy with this little one. I don't have an iron or anything for it, but just a little bit of a different contour to just to try to decide on a shape. The first one I just blocked up one in Fusion and 3D printed it, but that took way longer, I found, than actually just taking some scraps and super gluing them together. Much easier to do that. The part that I'm still struggling a little bit with, and if you guys have any insight on that, I'd love to hear it. Then I'll get back to the comments here. Is the angle of the wedge. I've heard it said, I've heard tales that the wedge needs to be about a 10-degree angle. 10? 30. 10, I believe it is. I don't know if that makes much of a difference, but I have had some difficulties here trying to get things to wedge into place. So I think that that wedge is kind of important to get everything to lock down. But yeah, for the iron, you ready? You ready for this? And I want your feedback as well. I'm gonna try making the irons out of an old table saw blade. Take a grinder, cut a slice out of here, and it's already hard, I would imagine. I don't know what kind of steel it's made out of, but I think that's what I'm going to try. So we'll see how that goes. I got to be really careful not to overheat it when I'm cutting it, because I don't want to lose the temper. So probably have to go slow and keep water on hand, but that's the plan. And I think I'm going to start cutting these out when we're done here. Try to cut out some irons. We'll shape them up on the belt grinder, and then once I have the irons done, then I can go back and kind of reference some of my stuff here, and yeah, see if we can make some of these things. All right. Let's see. I'm getting back to the comments here, so hang tight. Sam says, have you ever considered making things to sell on eBay? I haven't sold anything that I've made on eBay. Phone's buzzing. Stop it. But if I find the right product or the right thing, I'm not against it at all. I've sold a ton of stuff on eBay. Just random things, guitar parts and pedals and all kinds of stuff. So I have no problem with eBay. But yeah, that might be in the future. Let's see. Corey says, I use the Bait Plastic 212 medium plastisol, and you have to cook it up to 350 degrees before you can add your colors and flake. Do it. It's interesting. So it's a plastic, you bake it and shape it? Huh. Cool. Thanks, Corey. Nicholas says, ooh, that sounds interesting. It's definitely going to be something that I haven't done. Nicholas says, where are you getting the blades for those mini planes? Well, yeah, that saw blade. I'm gonna try making one or making some out of that saw blade material. I do have. If that doesn't work, we have a blacksmith supply place not too far from here, and they sell tool steel, and I would probably just go there and buy some lengths of tool steel. And then the only downside to that is I don't have a forge to harden them. I would probably have to go buy like a what are those torches? Not the propane, but is it the butane that burns hotter? And just heat them up and try to harden them that way. And then of course you have to temper them. There's that whole heat treating thing that you have to do that I am not equipped for. That's why I'm trying to use the saw blade, because I think as long as I'm careful, I think the steel would be hard enough, but we'll see how that goes. We don't know. I'm the type, you guys already are aware, I'm sure, that I got to try it, right? Like I am not versed enough to be able to look at that steel and be able to tell, so I got to experiment and just have fun. Try it out. And what's the worst that's going to happen? If it doesn't work, but I've made, I've got everything where it stays together and everything, then all I need to do is make a new blade. I do have, you guys have probably seen these. I've got some of these little guys. They're like super inexpensive, on like, I don't even know where these came from. I got these from a friend of mine, but just a little block of, I believe, ebony. But you can buy a set of these for like stupid cheap. And, I could always take that iron out of there, but I want to try. I want to try the saw blade. Sam says, cool. Dallo's here. Dallo says, good morning. Good morning, Dallo. Robert says, I watched a guy building an acoustic guitar and he did something that did not seem to make sense to me. Cut a large mortise and tenon joint for the neck, drilled and placed inserts in the neck. My using inserts is, from my understanding, a very common way to create sort of a bolt-on neck. The acoustic that I finished, the first one, has threaded inserts in the neck. So you create, it's not a dovetail joint, but it's a mortise and tenon. And I can show you on this. So you cut a mortise in here, you cut a tenon on the end of the neck that fits into the mortise. You put you're going to end up, and I'm going to do it for this one too. You're going to drill holes through here that go into the mortise, and then in the neck they have a couple threaded inserts so that you run your bolts. I've got to hold it where you can see it. You run your bolts through the neck block. It threads into the neck and pulls everything tight in this manner. And then all you do is glue down your fretboard extension. And that's a pretty common method if that's what I'm understanding you're talking about. And that is exactly what I'm going to do on this one. You cut that mortise and tenon, threaded inserts into the neck, and then the bolts from the inside pull everything in tight to the body. Corey says, then you fill the injector, you pick the soft plastic mold. You want to make that style of bait. Make sure you're wearing gloves when you're dealing with hot plastisol. Yeah, I can imagine that is a little uncomfortable if you were to touch it. Robert says, then glued in the neck and tighten the neck with the screws. So did he put glue in the mortise and tenon? Because that sounds just a little bit different. I don't. I would bolt in the mortise and tenon, and then you just glue the fretboard extension. But there's no reason you can't. Some of the dovetail neck joints, those things get glued in completely. There's several different ways to do it. Paul says, I use 13 degrees on my finger plane. Saw blade should work. Just temper it to keep it sharp. That's what I was thinking. So 13 degrees, pretty close to the 10 degrees that I saw. Yeah, this one, I don't even know what this one is. I was just playing around, cutting some pieces, trying to figure out where I want to have everything. Um, I'm going to I'm going to try using, this is just a piece of 1/8" brass rod. Probably going to stick with that. I've got another piece or two of that. But yeah, the tempering though, I hadn't thought about tempering the blade. I don't know. Do you think that's necessary? Because I don't know how hard that is already. I'll have to hit it with a file and see what it does. My original thought was to just take that, cut it, sharpen it, and roll with it. But really, I guess there's no reason I couldn't just try it. And Paul says, hello all. Just in briefly. Right on, Paul. Sam says, perhaps cut an old chisel for the mini planes. I thought about that too. Except I don't have any old chisels. I only have a couple of chisels to begin with, and I don't want to sacrifice any of those yet. Not until I get some new ones. Which probably will be happening sooner rather than later. I just haven't decided what I want to get yet. Robert says, I've seen people make knives out of old saw blades, so they should work for the irons for a plane. And that again was my thought too. I've seen lots of knives made from saw blades. So I'm like, well, if you can make a knife, why can't I make a plane iron? Paul says, I sell a lot on eBay. I don't particularly like the almost 14% they charge on item tax and shipping. It's been a little while since I've sold on eBay, but yeah, the fees tend to start adding up, that's for sure. Nicholas says, should be interesting on making those blades. I doubt the saw blade is tempered correctly for the plain blade tip. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't. Like I said, I'm not super up on all of the metallurgy and all that stuff, but I only know one way to find out. And that's to try it. So we will find out. And what do I have to lose? I've had this saw blade laying around. Well, I've got several of them. This thing's been around for years and years. And if I just cut a little slice, 1/2 inch wide or something like that, I've got plenty more material if I got to do it again and make some new ones and temper them, or if I ruin some, yeah, what do we have to lose? Except an old saw blade. Nicholas says, cool about the tool steel. Yeah, that's my backup plan. Try this first and see how it works. Nicholas says, yep, you can only try. Good luck. Well, thank you. Yep, I know one way to find out, and that's just to go for it. I tell my daughter that all the time. She'll ask about something. Like, what about this? I'm like, I don't know, but I know one way to find out. Sam Packin says, I'd be interested in knowing where those mini planes came from if you can. Honestly, I think it's like eBay, Amazon. They're really inexpensive. If I remember correctly, like I want to say maybe less than $20 for a set of 3. This one actually was curved this way, but I couldn't find a use for it. So, and it was a little bit longer as well. So I flattened this out, cut a little bit off of each end to kind of shorten it up. But yeah, I'm sure if you search around for like ebony mini hand plane set or something like that, you probably will be able to find it pretty easily. This is one of them. It has this little brass thingy here, which is a little bit uncomfortable. These things aren't great, but this one in particular, I can get it to cut pretty good, but it's still not great. The steel seems to not hold an edge all that well, but if you strop it quite a lot, which is what I ended up doing, they work okay. But yeah, I don't know. I have 2 of the 3. Like I said, this one I modified a little bit, so they're almost the same. But yeah, just do a little search around there. They're pretty cheap. Partly, these are sort of the inspiration and the reason that I want to try making my own, because these are, like I said, they're not a high quality one, but it does give me some ideas and a little bit of time. I've been playing around with these, so I kind of know what I want and don't want, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Uh, so Rick, just do a search, and the ones I've seen, they come in a set of 3, and that's that's really all I can tell you. Robert says, yeah, he glued the full joint in the guitar. Interesting. So I wonder if the bolts are to help pull everything into place, and then the glue holds it there. Paul says, some blades may be tempered. Depends on the blade. Robert says, I would think that the reason for inserts would be to have a bolt-on neck. Yes, that's the style that I'm doing. I'm not sure why he would have glued the whole mortise. I guess maybe it's just his preferred construction method. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, except for when you need to, if you need to do a neck reset later on. Even mine, the method that I'm going to use, where the mortise is bolted, but the fretboard extension gets glued down. So it's sort of a bolt-on neck, but you can't just unbolt it and remove it. There is a style that way that I think would be really cool, where you have the mortise, the bolts go into the mortise, but there's also a block under the fretboard extension that bolts on. So it really truly is a bolt-on neck. You just remove I guess it's 4 bolts, or maybe 3, depending on how many they put on there. And you remove those, and then the whole thing just pops off. I kind of like that method. Paul said some blades may be tempered. Oh, I already read that. Depends on the blade. Nicholas says, yes, I think you'll need to temper. You can tell if it's hardened by the sparks from the grinder and how a file slides along the metal. Yes, I'll skate a file on there, or I'll run a file on there and see if it skates across. The thing that I don't necessarily know is at what hardness determines. How do you know if it needs to be tempered? That's the part that I don't know. So the only thing I have to go off at the moment is, we'll just see how it sharpens up and see if it either chips the edge or goes dull quick. I don't know. There's going to be a bit of experimentation in the learning in this project. But it's easy enough to temper, right? If I need to temper it, maybe I'll make up a few blades. Some of them I won't temper, and maybe I'll take a couple more and just put them in the oven and temper them, through a heat cycle or 2, and just see if there's a difference. That's not a bad idea either. Then, because my plan was to make a couple of these. I thought about trying different blade angles, your standard 45 degree, maybe, a lower one, 25, 30 degrees, and maybe one a little steeper around the 50 degree, just to try 3 different angles. And if I make 3 of them, and then maybe two sets of blades, we could do a kind of an A/B test. Interesting. Paul says $8 buys you some cheap Harbor Freight chisels to use if you want to go that route. That is definitely an option. I do need to make a trip to Harbor Freight one of these days. I want to get a few more of these cheap clamps. I keep finding that I could use a few more. And what are they, like $4, $5, $6 or something like that? Mike says, just find another Harbor Freight chisel on the side of the road. Man, I still have that chisel. It's terrible. I could cut this up and make a real tiny one. this is the worst chisel ever. Like, I can sharpen this up to the best of my abilities, and I can still barely get it to make any cuts. It's all bent. Well, you probably might not be able to see it, but I don't even know why I keep it around. But yeah, maybe I could. Maybe I should make a real tiny one. What is that, 1/4 inch? Just under, yeah. Maybe I should make a little. Of course, this one's got more of an angle on it, but hack it off. The old Harbor Freight chisel. I don't even know why I keep it, but I do. Tony's here. Tony says, "Morning, sunshine." Morning, Tony. How are you this fine Wednesday? What are you up to today? Projects on the workbench? Sam says a blade shouldn't be tempted. It should be calmed. I'm going to tempt it with, I don't know what. I got nothing. Mike says it's all fun and games till you lose an eye. Yeah, I don't want to lose any eyes. I will have my safety glasses on. Yeah. Sam Packin says, well, they're cheap for a reason. Yeah, that's true. Mike says a spoke shave might be worth it. Yeah. I have a couple spoke shaves. One of them works really well. The other one, not so great. And that's no... it probably has to do with the blade. I probably need to spend quite a bit of time and get it really sharpened good. I enjoy using a spoke shave. Spoke shaves are fun. Corey says you have to temper the steel to make it where it can have a very sharp edge. You have to do that to make the edge last longer. Yeah, otherwise it's brittle, is my understanding. Robert says, I bought some small thumb planes from Amazon. I believe they're brass with steel blades. I think the full 4 or 5 plane set was maybe $20. I think I've seen those. I was looking at some recently as I was investigating getting some of these because I would like to have some. But then the idea of just making them kind of intrigued me, and we'll see how this goes. Corey says most of your skill saw blades are made out of carbon steel. It's high-speed steel M2. Yeah, I guess the question is, well, hang on. I'm just going to grab a file. Hold, please. We'll just grab a small file. I probably can't get in there with this. I mean, it makes a mark, but it scratched it, but it didn't really. It's kind of hard. Yeah, it's scratching it, but it's not filing it. I don't know. I'm just gonna cut it up and see what happens. Like I said, it's easy enough to take and throw them in the oven to give them a tempering cycle. Dastardly Dave says, "Sup all." Good morning, Dave. How are you doing this fine Wednesday? L says, are you thinking of building other models than OM? Yes, I am actually. I'm sticking right now with this OM style. Again, as a this is just to more refine some of the skills. I'm not making any large changes. Just focusing on the construction methods and, you know, just getting the process down. I do want to do a cutaway. But as far as shape wise, I am really liking kind of the OM shape. Um, After I look more and more at my dreadnought, and I'm becoming more and more a fan of the OM shape over the dreadnought. Um, I do have I don't even know what the body size or the shape would be called. I have another factory guitar, um, and I really like the shape of that too. It's similar to the OM, but a little bit different. I do plan to do a little bit different, do some different shapes. Probably still slightly OM ish. um, like I said, mainly because I'm really liking the shape of that compared to my dreadnought, and but I definitely want to do a cutaway. Maybe eventually, just create kind of um, my own version of this style, sort of, if that makes any sense. Uh, but yeah, eventually I will get to doing some other things. Where was I going with that? uh, but yes, eventually I'll try some different things. There you go. There's the short answer. Dallas says that finger plane looks so cute. I've been experimenting yesterday. Um, when I wrapped up the last bit on the acoustic on the completing the rim, I thought, well, I'm just going to take a little bit of time and just play around with some different things, just to get an understanding of what's going to go into making some of these little tiny guys, and that's what I'm going to tackle uh, over the next probably couple days. I don't know how long it's going to take. I mean, really, these don't take all that long to make, but I saw recently a different method for creating these where you don't even really have to cut the angles, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I think it's going to be fun. Hopefully they work. I mean, that would be even better. But if not, it's just going to be a fun little project. Sam says, "Dang autocorrect! It's meant to be tempered." Not autocorrect. It'll get you. It'll get you all the time. Mike says, "OM, oh my, the right way to build guitars." Yes, there is. I really like the OM shape. Um, Up until I was getting ready to build the first one, it hadn't been my favorite because really I've only had experience really with dreadnoughts. But now after building one, I really like this shape, and yeah, I'm a fan. Sam says, "Don't forget to smash the like button." Yeah, I mean, you don't have to smash it. I don't want you to break your equipment, but yeah, definitely hit that thumbs up button. It lets everybody know that this is like the coolest live hangout ever. We get to sit around, drink coffee, shoot the breeze. Robert says, "The thumb planes I have work much better than I thought they would for that price." I'm going to sneeze. Well, sorry, excuse me. Good grief. I have noticed, as a side note, a couple weeks ago I was feeling lousy, some kind of cold or something. I still have some sort of sinus stuff that I'm dealing with. It's not a big deal. It's not, I'm not feeling sick or anything, but it's just like lingering stuff. I'll notice I'll like cough or sneeze or something right out of the blue, out of nowhere. Anyway, Robert was saying the thumb planes I have work much better than I thought they would for that price. What do I do with them? These little guys, like I say, I don't remember exactly what they cost, but I know it was really inexpensive. If you get the blade super sharp, see how it's nice and shiny right now because I've stropped it about 20 times. It does work pretty good. I don't know if I can do this without having this. I'll probably slice myself. It does work pretty decent for what it is. but it's a little bit big, I think. And I want to try doing this. Well, first off, I want to see if this saw blade material is going to work for a plane iron. And I probably will make some that are, roughly the same size. But I would like to make some that are even smaller to really get in there and do some brace carving. And I think having a process in place to make these, I think would be very beneficial. I'll probably have a whole bunch of them by, if this works. But there is something cool about, being able to just take a tiny little shaving. But yeah, I think the key is being able to sharpen your blade and have it stay sharp. That's what I've noticed with these. They don't hold an edge super long. So I don't know. I think it's gonna be fun. Nicholas says Lake Erie Toolworks. If you want to go high end on the blades, really? Do they make small blades like this? I'll have to check that out. I'm gonna bring that up on a tab, on one of my like 70 tabs that I have open. Yep, it is 70 tabs. Lake Erie Toolworks. There, now I have it. Senpakin said the tips would be different than the body of the blade. Yes. True. I don't know. I gotta hack that blade up. When I was filing it, I wasn't filing on the end. I was trying to file, in this end here. But you're right. It might be, maybe it's tempered differently out here. I don't know. That's why I say I just got to go for it and find out for myself. Robert says, since the saw blade has carbide tips, the steel may not be hardened. Yeah, that's true. It might not. I can't imagine, though, they would make a saw blade out of, just regular mild steel. Still probably tool steel. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not the expert on that. I'm going to try to learn more about it, though. Robert says, oh, you already read that. Those tips may not be hardened. Mike says, my high-end planes are Lee Nielsen. Yeah, they make some nice stuff. I don't own any Lee Nielsen anything, but yes, definitely, I agree with that. Corey says, if the steel is tempered correctly, it will skate across the steel. If it digs in, not tempered enough. Then you have to use tempering quench oil to temper steel. You have to get that steel up to red hot temperatures, and you put the steel in quench oil to temper the steel. Yes, my understanding of that process is heat it up red hot until basically it becomes non-magnetic. I see a lot of guys, using a magnetic deal, and assume when it doesn't stick, quench it in the oil, and yeah. It is a goal of mine to get into a little bit of the that sort of blacksmithing aspect of it. Not necessarily to. Yeah, basically I want to do some of that. I want to get a forge or build a small forge to be able to do that, to be able to temper steel, and to make blades. And I want to make a knife, or make a few knives. It's basically, when I built my 2x72 belt grinder, that was the plan, because I wanted to do knives. At the time, I was watching a lot of knife grinding videos and things like that, and I'm like, man, I really, really want to build some blades, and I still do. But now, like, I use that belt grinder for so many things, and I've yet to make a knife. Well, other than like a little marking knife and stuff like that. Robert says, have you thought about building a parlor-sized guitar? I've thought about it, but that's about as far as it's gone. I am not against any of it at all. Yeah, I don't know. There's so many like it just takes so long to build all of these different things. And when you build a different model, you got to tool everything up differently, different jigs, different templates, different molds, bending molds, and yeah, so it's, it's just all going to take time. Nicholas says, "Way to make a plane without cutting the angles." Yeah. So what I'm talking about. So I guess I wasn't super clear. So you know how you normally have your bed angle in here, and then like typically you'll have some sort of a bevel, possibly on the front. There's a method that I saw. How can I demonstrate this? So let's say this is gonna be hard. I'm trying to find stuff here. I'm just going to use some random scraps in hopes to show you what I'm talking about. So these are just scraps of ambrosia maple, which actually might make a cool plain side. So let's say you're going to start out with a block of wood, right? And then we're going to slice off a side and slice off a side to give you your two sides. So what we're left with is a chunk that will eventually glue on like this, right? So rather than cutting this at say a 45-degree angle and trying to glue this piece in, you absolutely can. There's and that's how I've seen a ton of them made. What I saw recently was somebody just took a block. I'm just going to grab this, let's say this random piece, and you glue it to your side, right, like this, at a 45-degree angle. Then you would take your front piece, and let's just say you wanted it, I don't know, something like that for your front, or 90 degrees, I guess. Sorry, this is kind of hard. Hopefully this is making sense. Then you glue this all together, right? Trying to hold this. And then you cut this off. And you cut this off. Oh, this off, and this off, and then this off, and this off. And you end up with that. So you don't even have to really calculate, or try to make careful angled cuts on a small piece, and you can still get whatever bed angle that you want. Of course, the downside of that is now you've got pieces sticking out all over, and you've got to square those up, and be a little bit careful with that. But I thought that was kind of neat that you just if you want different angles, just glue your block in at a different angle. So that's what made me think of, I might try a bunch of different ones. I think this one's 30 degrees, which seems a little flat, but I didn't make this fit it. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Robert said, "Bless you." Thank you, Robert. Nicholas says, "Do you mean like slicing the sides off, cutting the center blocks, and sandwiching everything together?" Absolutely. Yes. Yep. You just glue that center block at whatever angle you want your bed angle. Sam says you can make a selection of tools for use in a particular situation, such as camping during powder outages, etc. I've thought about building one of those, like a little power bank deal. People put them in toolbox, little handheld toolboxes and stuff like that. I think something like that would be really cool. Corey says you have to get that steel up to over 1,000, and there's no oven that can do that. Yeah, for the quench and all that. Yeah, you need a forge for that one. The oven, you can temper it in the oven, but yeah, the actual heat treat No, not an oven. Senpakin says, well, good luck with your endeavors, everyone. Have to run. Have a great day and week. Right on, Rick. Thanks for stopping in. Good chatting with you. Hope you have an awesome week and enjoy your road tripping. Dallas says, someday will you try bolt-on joint for the tongue of the fretboard? Yes, I mentioned that a little bit earlier. I think that is a cool method for attaching everything, and definitely one that I would be highly interested in exploring, because I think it's pretty cool. You know, it's an entirely bolt-on neck joint, so I would say yes to that. When? I don't know. Mike says a violin maker's plain blade is $45 from Lee Nielsen, 7/8 wide. Maybe you're looking to do something thinner. Yeah, I'm thinking like 1/2 inch, maybe 3/8 wide. What did I make this one? This little test piece. That's a 1/2 inch wide. Yeah, somewhere around that 1/2 inch width, I think is what I might try. But then, you know, the beauty of, if this works, you know, and I find it's too wide or it's too narrow, I just make another one. Nicholas says, I got it with the plane angles. Thanks. Right on. Yeah, sorry that when I first mentioned that I wasn't super clear, but yeah, that's what I am going to try for these. Just make a bunch of different ones. You know, you can use just regular, you know, regular old chunk of wood, glue it in at an angle, and there's your bed angle. You want a low angle? Glue it at a low angle. You want a steeper scraper type thing? I don't know. But that's what I'm going to start working on today. I got a little bit of editing left to do on finishing up the rim set for the acoustic. So I gotta edit for a little while, and then I'll probably start on these planes. I might just do some out of some of these. This is just a silver maple. It's nothing fancy, but just as an experiment. Again, that's what I was using here. That's what is on my list of things for the rest of the week. Edit the video so you guys can check it out this weekend. Finishing up the rim, and then start cutting some metal, making some plane blades, and seeing if this saw blade's going to work, or if I just need to go get some tool steel and find a way to harden it. I do have a buddy who has a forge, and he said before that I could use it if I needed to for something. So that's an option if I have to go the tool steel route, or if I have to re-harden this. I don't know. Mike says, take care, be safe. Right on, Mike. Well, you have an awesome day and have a great rest of your week. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, wow, we are. Wow, how did we get an hour in already? Seems like we just started. Man. That's crazy. Yeah. Wow. So that's what I got going on, guys. Sounds like I got my work cut out for me, right? Making plane blades out of a table saw. Let's see here. Harry Dude says, gotta keep working. Catch you later. Stay well. Right on, Harry Dude. Have a good one, man. Stay warm down there. Warm weather's coming your way. Right on, dude. Awesome. Yeah, I guess that brings us to the end. I can't believe it. I can't believe it's been an hour already. Time flies when you're hanging out with friends and having fun. So, and drinking coffee. So anyway, guys, I want to say thank you. Thanks for all your input and ideas and stuff, concerns. We're going to find out how this is going to work. And yeah. Sam says, thanks for the fantastic stream today. Right on. And thank you, Sam, for being part of the fantastic stream today. Della says, I tried to make a simple drum sander. This week, I will make the thickness control part. Have a good week. And see you next time. Oh, right on, Dello. Drum sander. Yes, that's going to be awesome. Sam says, be safe, everyone. Right on, guys. I want to say thank you for tuning in. Enjoy hanging out with you every week, every Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. Mountain Time. We're here. You guys know. Spread the word. Tell everyone that this is like the funnest place to just come hang out and talk shop stuff. So, and if you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure you are all subscribed, but if you're not, hit that subscribe button. Love to have you on. The channel is approaching 90,000, and thank you all for that, for being a part of that, part of this journey. And next milestone is 100,000, so spread the word. Robert says a hand torch should be able to get the steel hot enough to harden it, then temper in the oven for a couple cycles, about 250 degrees for about 4 hours. I'll try it. I'll try it with a hand torch. Anyway, right on, guys. We're going to wrap this up. I got to get back to editing so that I can make some sparks fly and make some plane irons. You guys all have an amazing rest of your week. Thanks for tuning in with me. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for taking time out of your day. I really, really, truly appreciate all of you. And it's great. So thank you, guys. Stay safe, stay well. Get on your shops. Make some cool stuff. I don't care what it is. Make something. Glue a couple pieces together and make it whatever. Just have some fun. Be safe, stay well. Thanks for hanging out. And we'll see you guys next time. Oh, look, I hit the button. Why does that happen?